I was built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna hit.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name. Check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change. Possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quench the thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic. Built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah. I've been doing this, I'm on it. I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it. You know that I'm always honest.
This is the value of wrestling, the revolutionary force in wrestling podcasting.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it's us. We're here, and we're gonna do it again. Welcome to the Value of Wrestling. Welcome to the weekly Roundup podcast, where we wrap up your week in wrestling, put it in a nice box, put some pretty paper on it, tie it off with a nice bow, and deliver it to you right here on YouTube. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. Make sure you hit the like button and hit that share button. Share this out with everybody you know who's into the world of wrestling. Friends, family, and associates. Make sure you hit your vote there. What was the best show of the week? Was it Raw? Was it Dynamite? Was it SmackDown? Was it one of the other shows out there? Was TNA better? Was Ring of Honor better? Was MLW better? Was your local show down the road in the American Legion better? Let us know what you think. I let your vote. Join in the conversation in the chat, and we're going to get into it right now. Of course, you know the man right over here, the one, the only
Paulus Clarke.
Oh, believe that. And of course, our New Japan Pro Wrestling expert, the man behind the power and the hour.
Miguel Z.
Oh, you know, we're all here, and we're about to break it down as we cover the whole week in professional wrestling. How's everybody feeling this week? Mr. Z, how you doing this week? How do you feel about this week in wrestling?
Definitely some ups and downs. More ups, but a lot of downs.
Mr. Clarke, give me your synopsis on this week in professional or just wrestling or sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it.
I like both, so whether you call it sports entertainment, whether you call it professional wrestling, I am here for it. And just like we had another week of professional wrestling / sports entertainment, I gotta look at that voting, our poll. I'm gonna say the best show, in my opinion, was Raw.
Yeah, all right. Raw was a hot show. Is CM Punk the difference maker in all that? Is CM Punk the catalyst that's making Raw feel more important and getting more eyes on Raw? Is CM Punk the catalyst that may change the world of wrestling? Again, I said it on one of the Big Tyme rants. Is he the devil in the details? Meaning, is he the one that's behind the moving of maybe WBD, Warner Brothers Discovery, being interesting in making a TV negotiation with WWE and getting Raw on WBD networks? This could be really interesting. It is now coming out that Warner Brothers Discovery was actually trying to buy WWE before WWE was picked up by Endeavor. But is CM Punk that big of a needle mover? Is CM Punk the one setting this all in place? It's Warner Brothers Discovery going, well, we had a good collision until Punk left. Now he's over on Raw, and they're doing numbers. Maybe we need to get in bed with WWE? I don't know. What are your thoughts, Mr. Clarke?
I think coming from that perspective, it's a good idea because CM Punk has already proven a track record of helping a wrestling show look good, to bringing the audience in. So you have now Raw that already has its own track record, plus CM Punk. It's like when our powers combine, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, the power of the master. I don't know. All right, Mr. Z, your thoughts on CM Punk? Is he moving the needle? Is he the reason that we're seeing Warner Brothers Discovery wanting to get in bed with WWE?
I mean, one, full circle. They've been there before with the whole with the Superstation itself. That'd be a great thing. Yeah, I would see it as him being a needle mover. I mean, look, they were averaging millions of fans during the week when he would show up, and since then, they're barely lucky if they hit a little over 6, maybe 7. Fans aren't tuning in.
Well, Dynamite's doing about 800,000 average. But again, WWE's never been on the Superstation. Now, WWF, way back in the day in 84-ish, right before WrestleMania, they had bought the rights to air what was WCW as a TV show under the Jim Crockett NWA banner. I think it was only under Jim Crockett more then. And then what happened was Jim Crockett Promotions went in and bought WWE, paid off Vince McMahon millions of dollars to get their TV spot back, which helped set up WrestleMania, which set Vince McMahon and WWE on its way. And the crazy thing to think is, yeah, back in the day it was on if you know, you know. But the crazier thing is that we're looking at WWE TV. We're looking at Monday Night Raw, a show that's been pretty much synonymous with the USA Network. If you grew up, you knew it was on the USA Network. I remember when the first show aired on the USA Network in New York, in that small facility, and how crazy it was. And then we got in all these different eras. And then when WCW finally got Monday Night Nitro going, and blowing that out, and then we saw the competition, and it was, USA versus TNT, TBS, and there was this battle. And now to even think about Raw possibly being on one of those stations is just kind of mind-blowing for me, who comes from, for us who come from our generation where we lived through that Monday Night War. To think that we're going to talk about Raw and TNT on TBS. Gentlemen, tell me what your thoughts are on the possibility of the unthinkable. I mean, you have to agree with me on some of that. It almost feels like it's an unthinkable thing of happening that Raw could wind up on TNT and TBS just from where we grew up in wrestling. I mean, it's just like, really? Mr. Z, what are your thoughts on the possibility of Raw being on TNT or TBS?
That's mind blowing. Like I said, we lived we grew up through the Monday Night Wars. We knew that TBS, TNT, that was the station for WCW only. That's where you would always catch it. So it's mind blowing.
Mr. Clarke, your thoughts?
It's not like a TV show that started on one station, got canceled, got picked up by another station. Like you said, for 20, 30 years, something like that. WWE Raw has been synonymous with the USA Network. So to be on any other channel, let alone the channel that was considered the enemy, that had the rival promotion, it's like, wow.
Yeah. No, and there was a time there that, Raw and WWE were not on USA. They were on TNN, the former National Network, which went to become, I think, FX now.
I thought it turned into Spike TV.
Oh, Spike TV. There you go. Yeah, it's turned into Spike TV. TNN went to Spike TV, and that's what it became. And it was crazy then, just for fans who had Raw and USA, and that's just what we grew up on. To see it on a different network, it was crazy. But it wasn't that big of a deal. They knocked out ECW and TNN, and Spike TV were trying to develop wrestling, and they got a good brand in WWE. But this is just a little bit way different because it's just you go back in the nostalgia in the feels to the days where we watched these shows and we were clicking back and forth between TNT and USA on Monday nights. The only thing I can say is if the Raw does wind up on TNT or TBS, I hope they do like a throwback WCW show night one. It can be Raw, Nitro, or whatever. We just get the old Nitro feel for a night, for just a pass back, just to be on TBS and get one more Nitro. I would kind of be up for it.
I mean, that's definitely some fan service right there. I just don't know if I see them doing that.
I don't see Vince McMahon doing it, but I think Triple H might be more willing to give the fans a little bit of that for one night at least, just to be like, let's have a nostalgia, let's bring back WCW. Because, he's bringing back more and more of the WCW pay-per-views and old pay-per-views and using them, even though if it's more in NXT, they're bringing them out.
But at least they're using that intellectual property. That's what I love about that aspect of it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, NXT's using all the pay-per-view, the pay-per-views. I mean, hell, they were the first ones to draw in War Games, and look where it's at now.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say they were the first ones. They had to buy the rights back from MLW.
Oh, that's right.
All right. Well, let's talk about Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan, a lot of talk, making a lot of chatter, sadly for all the wrong reasons in this situation. And not necessarily for what she's being arrested for, just the fact that she got arrested. It's not good when you're in a public forum or in the public eye like she is. To get arrested for anything. She was arrested at 6:30 p.m. on December 14th for the possession of marijuana not exceeding 20 grams, the possession of a drug equipment, and possession of drugs, potentially synthetic cannabinoids. And what they're talking about is they're talking about a vape pen that may have been in her car that wasn't necessarily hers, but had been left in the car by somebody else. I don't know all the details. There's still scattered stuff. She's facing, I believe, a Schedule 4 felony. It's pretty serious in the charges. What I'm hoping is this, will get taken care of. I don't think this is as big as it looks. Is it serious? Yes, she's being charged with a felony. Is it as big as it's seeming? No, I don't even think WWE seems to be taken that way. There doesn't seem to be any heat on her right now from all the reports that are coming out. It seems like her plans are still, when she returns, and she's still going to get a big push. I did see somewhere out there that she was supposedly suspended, but I haven't found anything else to follow that up with. Looking through Sean Ross Sapp, Meltzer, Brian Alvarez, they all say that there's no heat on Liv Morgan right now. So I don't know where the announcement that she got suspended for a wellness violation, which isn't really what she did. She got arrested. We don't know if she was driving under any influence, because she did not get arrested with a driving under the influence. So we don't believe she was impaired driving, so we don't even know if she is using these cannabinoids, and there's rumors to believe that she may have taken the fall for somebody. This may have all been belonging to somebody else and just happened to be in the car she was driving and she didn't know. So it'll be interesting how this all goes going forward. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts on Liv Morgan? Let's start with Mr. Clarke. What do you know, or what have you heard about this? What do you think about this?
Like you said, from what I've read, WWE, like her creative plans are still going to go through. She's not getting any heat. I'm like, first of all, in the long run, this may actually even serve her for having the hottest mugshot out. I'm sorry, but it's like, getting to see her without makeup, I love that. She is still a very attractive woman, to put it nicely. I don't see that as a big deal personally as a fan, as long as she wasn't under the influence while driving. Who cares?
Well, it's still legal.
I understand the legality behind it.
Yes.
And that's really that's the difference between people's opinions and the legal system.
Yes.
I'm coming from the perspective of the fan. I'm coming from the perspective of who gives a flying. I will still pay money to see that woman perform.
Yeah.
To still watch her wrestle. So we good as long as she ain't danger to herself or anyone else. Which so far we've heard. She has not been.
No reports. No. No, this seems like a one-off. Unfortunately, there are a majority of states nowadays that weed is legalized for recreational use, mostly on the West Coast. And there's other states where it's legalized in a medical form. As long as you have a medical card, you can have and possess so much of it. I don't know what the details in Florida is a lot stricter on these things, as we know. So it's going to be real iffy moving forward. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with marijuana. If you use it and use it appropriately, it's pretty much like beer. To me, be responsible with it. What do I care what you do behind closed doors? In that sense, it's just the legality is a serious issue, and that's what is more of importance. Like, it's not good that she, got caught, but it's also in this instance that none of this may have been hers, and we're still waiting for more information on that. Mr. Z, your thoughts on Liv Morgan and this whole debacle?
Yeah, I'm with you both on that one. It's the legal precedence pretty much of what it is. She got caught in a state where it's just not tolerated.
Yep.
Was it hers? We don't know. Was it someone else's? We don't know. Like you said, what she does behind closed doors, that's her business. As long as she was responsible about it, that's fine. I mean, I got nothing wrong with it. I just hope it's not. It doesn't lead to more serious ends as far as career wise. But like you said, we've seen some reports, but there's nothing really following through.
And it does seem from the reports we're seeing that Liv Morgan was very, very much honest up front and very much right with WWE, letting them know what happened. She was arrested. She bailed out. Pretty much, she was booked in and released all within time. It doesn't seem like she spent much time in the jail there. But it seems like she did contact WWE and let them know. Go ahead.
I bet you she spent more time than Dom did.
Oh.
You're gonna come back with a teardrop?
Anyways, yeah, I don't even know what to say about that one. You had to add those 2 cents in, and it's just like, really? Yeah. So, anywho. There we go. Anyways, the delusional man. Let's talk about Mr. Delusional. And no, I'm not talking about Feed Me More. Feed Me More wants a match with Goldberg. Goldberg's called out Feed Me More. They're thinking about a match. Feed Me More thinks she's going to wind up on AEW TV. Feed Me More thinks WWE's the stupidest product for bringing back CM Punk because he's better than CM Punk. But I'm not talking about that delusional man. I'm talking about the delusional man behind the books and the control of AEW. I'm talking about one Mr. Tony Khan. I don't know what else to say about this man. In a statement coming from reports, it says that when asked about WB, he says, Ring of Honor, we haven't had any recently talks about WB, but when we've had really good conversations about AEW. Even in recent days, it's been really good talks with Warner Brothers Discovery. We've been in them for several years. We've been with them for several years. I'm really excited. It's a really exciting time for AEW. Tony Khan doing what he does, just never answering a question, blowing you off. And then we get the whole ordeal with Tony Khan and criticism. Tony Khan said this, to be AEW is to be under constant attack. You do a great show and the next day somebody's saying something negative. You do 5 great shows in a row, somebody says something negative. You break the ticket record for the most tickets ever sold for a wrestling show in the history of the world, and somebody has to say something bad to say, or somebody has something bad to say about it. At this point, I don't worry about it. And he comes back and then says, the wrestling's the greatest. Oh, the wrestling's great and everything's great, and still people are trying to tell you there's some problem with it. And to be AEW, no matter how good you do, there will be people coming for you, gunning for you, because that's what this is. There's a reason that every single person who stepped into my position until now has gone out of business. I'm the only one left. We're addicted, and it's worth fighting for. Here's where I have problems with all this precedence. Tony Khan looks like he's trying to make a battle with WWE, which is dumb. And yes, you're going to get criticism. You're going to get criticism when something isn't right. So, I mean, there's a difference between being attacked. Yes, I know there's a lot of people just bitch and complain about stuff. But there's people who come out and give you real criticism about a situation. It's a criticism that you need to take in and not take it as a threat. And thirdly, you're not the only one left. So TNA, who has TV rights, has a TV deal, who's being ran by Scott D'Amore, and you're saying they're not in this, and they're your biggest competition, not WWE, because TNA is about to make an impact to come back. But you're also talking about people that may not necessarily have TV, but they're still in the battle. You got MLW, Billy Corgan, or William Corgan, whatever he wants to be called, depending on the day of the week, and NWA. I mean, how can you say you're the only one left that's still standing doing what you do? Tony's just delusional, and shows haven't been good. They haven't promoted anything really for their end of the world pay-per-view. We know MJF's going to take on Samoa Joe for the AEW World Championship. We're hoping something will portray with all this devil crap that's just kind of getting nauseating. And then you have the Continental Classic final match, which I don't know if anybody really cares. It's kind of dragged on, not felt important. Some people have gotten completely buried in this, which is sad. And then you had a tag team match, Big Bill and Ricky Starks, that got officially announced on Wednesday on Dynamite against the Golden Jets. And now we know Kenny Omega is out with, and I'm going to do my best. I know I probably won't hit this perfectly. I'm not good with medical terms, but yeah, there we go. What he said.
Reticulovitis.
Yeah. Yes. So we know he's out indefinitely, and we're not getting any addressment on what's going to happen there. I guess we'll wait for Dynamite, but you had a tag match, and now that shot in your World's End pay-per-view feels worthless, and we're looking at the 17th, so you're telling me we have less than 2 weeks before the show goes. And you've given us nothing. So again, you're going to book a show at the last minute just as much as you did Full Gear, and it's not going to be exciting. The in-ring action will probably be decent, but I don't know. Mr. Z, I know you said who booked this. You've got your sign there. What are your thoughts on the delusional one, Mr. Tony Khan?
At this point, he's just blowing money. All he's doing is showing what money he can blow. He's not booking anything serious. You have, like you said, we got a pay-per-view coming up, and there's nothing booked. One match, maybe two, not even two now. I was wondering where's Kota Ibushi's going to stand in all this if Omega's out. Is he going to tag with Jericho?
I hope not. I don't need to see that man on a bicycle coming down the ring again.
I was wondering if he was going to ride a moped maybe this time, or
a unicycle, and he's going to juggle the pipes or something stupid.
Oh, okay. Let's just keep embarrassing the New Japan guys. Way to go, Tony. You're the man.
Hey,
bro.
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, because they got Woo Energy to sell that you can only buy online at $29.99, $5 a can. Or don't forget, buy your tickets All In, because All In is next August in Wembley, in London. But buy tickets for that. Make sure you're ready for that. 8 months out. But don't worry about the pay-per-view coming up at the end of December. We want you to worry about the pay-per-view that's 8 months out. Mr. Clarke?
No, we've set... Oh, real quick.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry about that. But like I said, like we've seen, he has buried guys that should have been over, or at least stood a chance in this tournament. You know, Mark Briscoe. We feel bad for the guy. I know he's there for the money now.
I feel bad for Mark Briscoe. I feel bad for Jay Lethal.
Jay Lethal, yeah.
I mean, Daniel Garcia, I don't know if I feel as bad for it because I'm over the dancing gimmick, but you would think maybe this would give him some credibility, but they're even burying him.
This should have been a tournament used to bring up a young talent or someone we know.
Well, I mean, if you were going to bury Mark Briscoe and Jay Lethal, why wouldn't you have done Mark Briscoe versus Jay Lethal on the very first night? To at least give one of them a win and feel like, oh, there's something to get behind, instead of saving their match to the very last match, which is meaningless, you know? So, Mr. Clarke, your thoughts on the delusional one?
I understand Tony Khan somewhat going after just a random fan, but even when someone who's been in the business knows what he's talking about, now whether he's your favorite guy or not, Glenn Gilberti, formerly known as Cisco Inferno, Tony Khan puts out a tweet after Collision, said, AEW fans, how are you feeling? And all Glenn said was, like, the shows need a reset. That's it. He didn't attack AEW. He didn't. And so Tony Khan says, the belief that you're an irrelevant parasite unites the entire pro wrestling community. Like, really? I mean, hey, there's plenty of reasons to hate Glenn Gilberti when you listen to Keeping It 100 with Conan and him. But if you listen to Glenn enough, you understand the difference between when he's playing a character and when he's saying, here's my real opinion. And that was him being real. It's like, it is what it is. And Tony Khan can't take any kind of criticism whatsoever.
No, I hope he doesn't watch our show, because, I mean, he won't like me for damn sure. But Glenn Gilberti...
Like Marty. Let's be real here, folks. He won't like Marty.
Glenn Gilberti, I don't think he said anything wrong in this tweet. The show needs a reset. No. That's what I think every everybody in the IWC said, I think there's people across all these that there needs to be a reset. There needs to be an identity. There needs to be something defined to tell us who AEW is. And I think that's what a reset means. Just we need a reset. We need to start over and figure out who we are and where we're going so we know where we're going so the fans can follow along. And that's what I think Glenn Gilberti is going. Now, Disco Inferno, Glenn Gilberti, I'm not a big fan of him. I don't necessarily listen to him or pay any attention to him. But I don't even have the audacity to ban with everybody else. There are other names that are bigger that I'd rather call an infestation, like feed me more. I'd rather ban the wrestling community to make sure he never gets back into wrestling. But I don't think you brought in the wrestling world together over Glenn Gilberti.
Yeah.
I don't get
Yeah.
Tony Khan's
No, you're
like.
just making us want to dance a little bit. Entrance music because it was
Well,
great.
Tony Khan just made Glenn Gilberti popular, Glenn. He just made Disco Inferno popular again because the majority of fans are probably going to stand behind Disco Inferno on this one more than Tony Khan. And so, if anything, he gave more attention to the Disco Inferno, Glenn Gilberti, whatever you want to call him.
Well, then, like I told you, I showed you, I made a statement on Tony Khan's tweet about how great Dynamite was. I just made the blanket statement, not enough weed to make me enjoy it. And man, the hate that I got for it. Oh my God.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
I've never seen so many bitter keyboard warriors. It was horrible. there was an account that came back from the dead that said maybe weed wasn't a good idea.
Yep, exactly. Well, moving on from the delusional one, I think it's time to move into what a lot of people seem to be talking about. Contracts. Lots of names, lots of big names, lots of people coming up out of all different organizations. And we're going to start down on the lower end here. It looks like coming out of NWA, Camille, I think her contract is reportedly up at the end of the year. Camille, who's with NWA, her contract's up at the end of this year. Gentlemen, you know better. I don't follow this one, but Camille, what do you think her future looks like? Do you think there's a place for her in moving up? Could she wind up on Impact, AEW, WWE? Is there anything there to benefit her?
I think she'd be beneficial in WWE NXT. She could be beneficial at Impact. Hell, she could go to Stardom for all I care, and she would still
I'd like
do
to see her in
well.
Stardom. Stardom would be a good one. Her style would be really good there.
Think of her as a more agile China.
How about MLW? Let's jump into MLW. What about one Alex Hammerstone? He posted on social media he will be he's already out of contract as of the 8th of December, and he'll be an official free agent as of January 1st, 2024. Any opinion on Alex Hammerstone? And I don't necessarily know these people. That's why I'm kind of giving you guys the floor.
I understand.
Mm-hmm.
It depends where he goes and what they want to do with him. Because from a selfish point of view, I almost want to see him in AEW to reunite with MJF as a part of the dynasty. But just knowing how Tony Khan books things, it's like, never mind, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
He would do well in NXT to kind of learn WWE's style of TV wrestling, and then maybe pulled up into maybe join the Viking Raiders, something of that nature.
Nice stable around
he
them.
has kind of played. Again, he's another one of those guys that can work almost any company and do well, in my opinion.
All right. Well, let's get into Impact Wrestling. Several names coming out of Impact Wrestling. We will start with, we have a Tasha Steelz and a Jay Vital. I don't necessarily know these names offhand. Mr. Cart might know these two a little more. Is there anything that you can add on those names?
I'm not as familiar with Jay Vital. Tasha Steelz, on the other hand, formerly was in a tag team with Kira Hogan, who's now in AEW. Still not a major star yet there. Sorry. But she is very good on the mic. She's kind of playing that brashy. She's a short Boricua. So she's kind of got that flavor going. No, actually, her tag team name was Fire and Flavor.
All right.
That should tell you a little bit of the story. She would do well in, again, WWE. She's done, I think, what she can in Impact, so that's probably why she might be leaving. But she's had great matches with, like, Mickie James, like everyone in Impact, really. But she can give you a good match, no matter where she goes.
Another name's contract coming up to the, looks like they are good through the end of 2024, as it's saying, Rich Swann. Rich Swann, to me, I think it's Impact. I think he'll probably re-sign with Impact. We've seen him on AEW when AEW was working with Impact more, or TNA, as they will be going forward, but I think that's Rich Swann's home. I don't see him going back to WWE. I don't think there's anything for him there. He might be okay on NXT, but he's never really going to go beyond that if he did go back to the E. Gentlemen, your thoughts on Rich Swann?
I mean, we've seen him when he was at WWE, and he was dancing. I mean,
yeah.
And what do you think he was doing at Impact? He was still dancing.
But you get what I'm saying? Like, they'll just have him dancing again.
That's true.
And maybe he should just stick where he's at, and unless Tony Khan be like, I can use another dancing fool. Him and Daniel Garcia could be the all new American males.
Okay, we don't need a new dancing stable. No. As much as I like dancers, I love for comedy, but no.
Rich Swann, Daniel Garcia, and who can be the new member of 3 Count? Can we get a new 3 Count with the third? Here's another name here's the name that might work for that. If you wanted to do an AEW stable of 3 Count, you could do Daniel Garcia, Rich Swann, and what about the contract that's coming up at the end of next year, or here closely? One Dirty Dango.
He doesn't really dance anymore. He's got a more serious character in Impact.
Yeah.
All right. Also coming up, it looks like till the end of 2024, hopefully. I think he just did renew, so maybe that's it. But PCO, and if you don't know who PCO is an interesting character. I've seen bits and pieces of him, but he's formerly one of the Quebecers, and not Jacques, but Carl.
Ouellette.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
PCO is a big name. That's contract is coming up. What about Kenny King? Kenny King's contract's coming up. He's been around. I believe he's been big in Impact TNA for a long time now. He's kind of left. I think he did a little time in New Japan. I think he's had tryouts with WWE. I don't know if he's been featured on AEW TV. Didn't Kenny King have a big thing when Bobby Lashley was in Impact or TNA?
TNA. They had their own.
Yeah, with MVP and Bobby Lashley and Kenny King.
Yeah.
And even before all that, he was a part of Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's been around for a while.
Yeah.
The thing is he's got so much potential. I just think creatively, no one's really been able to tap into what
capture him
could be. Yeah. Because like even in Impact or TNA, he had a feud with Rob Van Dam for a while, and we're talking about years ago.
Yeah.
And it's like just the potential was there, but they just never quite meshed, never quite found it.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved his tag team when he was with as part of the All Night Express with Addicted to Love. Can't think of his actual name. I'm looking at Miguel on that one. Rhett Titus. That was his tag team partner name.
Sorry, guys, my dog is barking. I just have it on mute. My
You're good. You're good.
Gotcha.
Well,
So
moving
Rhett
along.
Titus and Kenny King.
Yeah.
We're a tag team. I thought they were a pretty good act.
Moving along, let's get into the. Go ahead. All right, moving along. Let's get into some bigger names coming out of Impact. Jonathan Gresham. We've seen him in AEW. He was there, had the fallout. I don't think he'll ever really be looked at something WWE wants. His home and his highest probably area is going to be Impact. Your thoughts, gentlemen?
Great, obviously great in-ring worker. We love the stuff he does in the ring is great. But at the end of the day, it's the attitude. If you have a bad attitude going into one of these companies, either you shape up or ship out. I don't see him leaving to anywhere else, not if he's burnt his bridges already.
But can you really say attitude if you have CM Punk in WWE?
Yeah, you got a point there. You got a point there, but he's definitely
I'm
not going
just
to go
saying.
to. He's definitely not going to go to AEW because that's where the fallout happened.
Yeah,
Mhm.
But
he
I
might.
mean,
He
honestly, I might not. I wouldn't mind seeing him back in New Japan, maybe,
there you go.
or
That would be
even
better.
yeah,
Mhm.
or if he does do a stint in NXT to kind of hone a better craft, a better style,
Is he not
maybe show some of the
married
other guys what
to Jordan Grace?
Jordan. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting to see there. Josh Alexander, a big name in TNA, really been made himself probably in TNA, or at least got his name out there. He might be good in WWE and NXT. I think he'd be lost in AEW, but I think his home is probably going to be in what the TNA needs him to build what they are going forward with.
Mhm.
Mr. Clarke, your thoughts on Josh Alexander?
From his tag team with the as a part of the North with Ethan Page to him going out solo, that man has been building his momentum. And yeah, I agree. TNA needs him just as much as he needs TNA.
He's
at this
had
point.
stellar matches in New Japan too. I love his in-ring work on that one. He's very serious.
Mhm.
But yeah, he might want to stay with Impact and help build them to take
next
them to
level.
the next level, the promised land.
And this might be the biggest name coming out of Impact or TNA Wrestling. This is a name that I think we're going to see AEW and WWE definitely get into battle for wherever they go. Could definitely be a landscape chaser. I think AEW will fail it. WWE right now, it's looking like they might be able to push it. I believe their contracts are already up. It's saying here till the end of the year, but I believe the announcement already came up. They are a free agent. One Deonna Purrazzo.
Brazo.
Yeah.
Mm.
So what do you think, Mr. Clarke?
As much as I call Bailey my baby, Deonna Purrazzo that's wifey right there. That's like, I will follow her to whatever program she goes to.
Where do you want to
And
see her go?
if it's for the fame, if it's, I mean, the money's gonna be good either way, but I want to see what she can do now in WWE. Even though they passed on her before, in the long run, because the appeal I had towards her is, before, when she was no one, when she was just rising and just trying to make her name, I saw her in all these different companies doing guest shots, if you will, doing the jobber thing. And so when she finally got a chance with Impact Wrestling, and she got to really show what she could do, I really even further fell in love with her. So the idea of her going to WWE and wrestling with the biggest names that the industry has, that is really appealing to me.
I do believe Triple H was a big fan of her. I think it was the Vince McMahon on the other side that was not interested in what hindered her ability to actually get in. I think Triple H was chasing her at the time, if I remember correctly.
Get a
Look
shotgun.
who's not running it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah. Now look who's not running the place anymore. So there could be a chance.
So I've got 4 names on this next promotion, and this will be right up Mr. Z's alley.
Wow.
We're going to talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling. If you have anybody else that I don't name, let us know. The first one on this list is we know Will Ospreay's contract ends in the end of February with New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's officially fulfilling the agreements on a handshake deal. He doesn't really necessarily have a contract with New Japan Pro Wrestling. As I've dug into this, he is signed already to AEW, so he's really not a free agent. So there's not really much to say with Will Ospreay. We know where he is. We know what's happening. That is his future. The big one.
His last match is scheduled for New Year's Dash. That's right after Battle in the Valley. That's where we'll probably see him have his curtain call, and it's done. There's nothing more after that.
Yeah. Now the big name. Let's go here. Clark Connors, his contract's up on April 2024, and then Tama Tonga's contract's up, and then of course the biggest name. Not to say Tama Tonga ain't a big name, but we know the big name's Okada. His is up at the end of January.
Mm-hmm.
Okada showing up possibly in the Royal Rumble, signing with WWE. Wouldn't that throw that whole dynamic into a whole different world? You could have Okada appear, and you could have a stare down between him and Shinsuke Nakamura in the Royal Rumble, leading to Shinsuke versus Okada at WrestleMania. Lots there. I think Okada needs to be WWE. I don't know who Clark Connors is. Tama Tonga, of course, part of the Bloodline family as we know him now. He's part of that Samoan dynasty. Runs deep there. Would love to see him, for me, to go to WWE and be in some faction or form into this bloodline, whether he comes in as part of a new bloodline that's going to take out Roman, or a Roman returning with a bigger, stronger bloodline. Who knows? Mr. Z, your thoughts on the names we have here? We know where Ospreay's going, but what about Tama Tonga? What about Clark Connors and Okada?
Tama Tonga was good. Tama Tonga has a good solo going on right now. He's got a title match coming up at Wrestle Kingdom for the Never Belt. But him solo has been really good. I like where he's going. It's really weird not seeing him with his brother, but if his contract is up and he does walk away, I would love to see him in W, just for the simple fact this will push a bloodline story a little further if Roman takes a bow for a little bit.
Yeah.
Clark Connors.
He's a guy.
He's a good hand.
He's a guy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And then Okada, the Rainmaker. I mean,
he's got to go to WWE.
Yeah, we can get him and Nakamura one time at Mania. Even if just a one-off match, just give us one. You know,
Mr. Clark, your thoughts on this list of Okada, Connors, and Tama Tonga? We know Will Ospreay, so and there's not much to say there. We know what's happening.
Clark Connors, I made the joke about him being a good hand. He's great in the ring. I don't know. I don't watch enough New Japan to know if he's a good character. If he's going to connect with the American audience or the West culture audience enough. Tama Tonga, it's so weird to me not to see the Guerrillas of Destiny together. I haven't had a chance to see his solo work, but Tama Tonga is one of those guys you believe in when you see him work in the ring. Selfishly, yeah, I'm kind of with you guys. I'd like to see him in WWE, see him as a part of the Bloodline storyline, and just see what they could do with him. Okada.
WWE.
Wow. Again, as I keep saying, yes, WWE. Just the entrance alone, let alone the in-ring work.
Yeah.
The entrance alone should blow shit away.
He would just get lost in AEW. That's my fear.
He's the only one since Jake the Snake that can get the short arm clothesline over.
Yes.
All right. Moving into AEW, we got a lot of names. We're going to run through some that they're further out than others, and we'll kind of run down through some of this list. Further down the line, we're looking at 2027 here. The Bucks, Malachi Black, Kenny Omega, John Moxley, Hangman Page, FTR, Adam Cole are all tied up to 2027, it looks like. O'Reilly, Sabin, Silver, Uno, Reynolds, Miro, all tied up till 2026. Jericho, Renee Paquette, Matt Menard, Angelo Parker, all tied up till 2025. The names that are coming either at the end of this year, already gone, or coming up at the end of 2024. Here are some of the names. Dustin Rhodes, looks like September of 2024. Bryan Danielson, September of 2024. Andrade, 2024. Tony Schiavone, 2024 of April. MJF, as he is proclaimed, is up at January 1st of 2024. What is officially going on there? A lot of stuff is out there. And then QT Marshall's already resigned and walked out and opened himself as a free agent. And two other names, Ethan Page and Keith Lee, seem to have their contracts coming up. Lots of names there. But focusing on the more closer ones, we got Bryan Danielson, Andrade, MJF, Ethan Page, Keith Lee. A lot to go and dive in there. I don't care about Tony Schiavone. He'll probably still be on the broadcast team. Not really anything to do there. Dustin Rhodes, I don't know. If he's up in 2024, is he going to stay? Is he going to go be with his brother one last time, one last run? Maybe we could get Dustin Rhodes in the 2025 WWE Hall of Fame class.
I like that idea.
I don't know. Dustin Rhodes is a good hand in AEW. I know he's helping with the younger talent through the Cody's thing, but I mean, I don't know if Dustin can do much more there. I would like to see Dustin Rhodes in WWE if he had one more run. He can go in and out of Goldust, but I wouldn't want just him as Goldust. I would like to see just maybe he can paint up half Goldust and be Dustin Rhodes, kind of like he is now. So I wouldn't be against that. Andrade, lots of talk. Andrade wants to go back to the E with Triple H running it. Right now, he's getting pushed in this title tournament. Don't think he's going to win, and it seems like he may be getting fed to Miro in the long run of this picture. So I don't know if Andrade's stock's really rising, or we're just showcasing him right now to maybe keep him around, but I don't know there. Ethan Page and Keith Lee, I think Ethan Page
Cody's not just throwing money his way?
Who knows? Ethan Page and Keith Lee both need to get out. I think Keith Lee will probably be a big one we'll see back in WWE. He can be back with his wife, Mia Yim, or Mi Chin, whatever you want to call her. Ethan Page, I think, he'd go to NXT and really shine. The big name here is going to always be MJF, and until we get details on what's really going on with MJF and his contract going forward, hopefully MJF hasn't re-signed with AEW, because I am really scared that MJF, after his title run is over, after he drops his title, whenever it's going to be, what do you do with MJF and AEW? Where can he really fit in to still feel important in a creative aspect? Can MJF still get himself over? Of course, MJF can still make himself feel like the most important thing, no matter where he's on the card, but I'm just looking at it and going, I don't know what they're going to do with him afterwards, because every champion that has come along in AEW, after they've dropped the belt, have seemingly fallen. The only one that I can say definitely didn't really make a big fall, they've kind of kept relevant, it's been Moxley. But if we look at Jericho has not felt as important after he dropped the world title. Omega has fallen flat after dropping the world title. Hangman Adam Page is what? A mid-carder at best, who's kind of a laughingstock.
A drunken cowboy.
He's kind of a laughingstock after Full Gear. So I'm like, the history, they just kind of fall off. So I'm like, MJF will be able to keep his character decent because he's good, but the creative direction's what scares me. So, Mr. Z, I listed a bunch of names there. You kind of had that list. What do you think about some of these names in AEW, what they're going to do? Where do you think people might wind up?
Keith Lee, obviously, you more than likely will end up back with his wife, which is great. And I know that I know Triple H will present him the way he should be rather than the old bear cat.
Yeah.
Ethan Page, we stick him in NXT. I mean, can I say that name again? Lexus King. Money.
Yes.
You can't deny what they've done with him.
Just don't be a Lex offender.
Oh. No, I will never speak ill of that man. Oh, sorry, dog. Sorry. The MJF, until we know, it could be the biggest bidding war of 2024.
Could be.
Because we don't know what's going to happen.
What do you think about Andrade?
Until we know where this LWO thing's going, I mean, that could be a nice add-on to either or stable to help.
Right.
Either help out El
Phantasma.
El Phantasma, or helping Ray. But who knows?
Mr. Clarke, what are your thoughts on several of these names that seem to have their contract ending shortly here in AEW or by the end of next year?
When it comes to talent and ability, the only reason why I would put Ethan Page in NXT is so he can learn WWE style of wrestling TV. Otherwise, I'd tune straight to the main card if I could, the main roster.
Yeah. Andrade?
First of all, I want to see Andrade back in the WWE to either be managed by Zelina Vega again, or to give some new shine to Charlotte. Have them bounce off each other and show how that dynamic works on an on-screen, level. Because I think that would add depth to both their characters. Because it'd be just so different.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, who else we got around there?
Keith Lee?
Where does he go besides WWE? That's going to make him look good, especially under Triple H.
I don't see Bryan Danielson jumping. That's why I probably haven't mentioned to either of you guys. Bryan Danielson's he's stuck to Tony Khan's side. He looks like he's working.
In a sense, it's good because it's like, here's at least a voice. Now, whether Tony Khan listens or not is another story.
Yeah.
But here is a voice of reason. Like, hey, maybe think about this. Or
I think the only reason we're going to see Bryan Danielson leave AEW, well, we know he's working on his retirement and he's going to go part-time. The only reason I see is he gets another freaking concussion so bad that he can't wrestle again. That's the only thing that scares me about Bryan Danielson in AEW is I just feel like he's going to wrestle until he gets himself so hurt. It may be bad. MJF, Mr. Clarke, MJF. Go ahead.
That is so
hard. Real quick. I was going to kind of piggyback on the Danielson one. At least he won't try to turn into Flair. Just never stop to the point where he can't be physical outside the ring anymore.
Don't say never.
I don't know. Danielson's passion is quite strong with that one.
Yes, the fourth is strong with that one. Anyways, Mr. Clarke, your thoughts on MJF?
On one hand, I don't as creative as Triple H is with his creative direction. It's like we'd be getting a different MJF if he goes to WWE, good, bad, or otherwise. Now, obviously, under Vince, that'd just be bad. Period.
Yeah.
Vote of no confidence. It would be different under Triple H. Like, I don't know, because right now it's like we used to look at Tony Khan and we used to look at MJF. Like MJF, you could tell was kind of more shooting on how he wanted to do his promos, but the creative directions he's being put in, not good. So maybe WWE is also.
I think Triple H would, now that we see what's going on with Seth Rollins and CM Punk having more freedom, actually doing real promos instead of a whole lot of scripted stuff. I think you could see a lot of great things with MJF, and MJF you've already got a natural storyline with bringing him into the Miz. You can have so many things there, the similarities. You already got Cody there, so you can represent him in any form with Cody. You have CM Punk, so MJF stalking CM Punk in a way would be this great storyline. MJF and Seth Rollins would be freaking amazing. The promo work there, I think MJF could shine on a whole new level. And he looked $20 million better. Tony Khan has all this money, but he doesn't put the production value or anything into the looks. I think MJF could really, like, WWE's budget behind his entrances and all his look and stuff. Yes. He definitely be going. All right. I think that covers AEW. We can get into WWE now. Undertaker's good. Mark Calloway, whatever you want to call him, he's signed until 2034. So Booker T looks like he's there until 2029. Gallows and Anderson, they're definitely there until 2027. Dragon Lee's until 2025. The Miz, 2025. I don't know why Nick Khan's name's on this list, but he signed the contract until 2025. It does look like LA Knight's either signed up a new one or something, because I thought his was up. But this is saying he's good until 2025, so I don't know if they added time or what happened there. But names coming up this year, next year. We will go over this. Kevin Owens, 2024. Randy Orton has signed a multi-year extension through 2024. Xavier Woods, Big E, Kofi Kingston, A New Day, all through the end of 2024. Jinder Mahal, he'll be summer 2024. Ricochet, summer 2024. Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, June of 2024. Drew McIntyre, somewhere before or after WrestleMania 2024. Alexa Bliss's contract seems to be coming up. AJ Styles is somewhere in that same summertime of 2024. Angelo Dawkins, Montez Ford, I don't know exactly, but their contracts seem to be coming up. Butch or Pete Dunne, his contract's coming up. We know Drew McIntyre, we mentioned that. Pat McAfee's contract coming up. I don't know what that means, but I don't see him going anywhere. And Sami Zayn's contract's coming up in the next year. Lots of names there. And the thing I can say about this, Alexa Bliss just recently had a baby. I don't know if we're going to see her come back. It depends on what she wants to do when she's going forward. She's not going to be hurting for money being married to Ryan Cabrera. He's making tons of money. So, I mean, it'll depend on what she wants to do going forward. Does she want to be in the world of wrestling? Does she want to be a stay-at-home mom? Does she want to be maybe a color commentator? Does she want to step away from in-ring action? We don't know. We haven't heard from Alexa Bliss. There doesn't seem to be a big push to see Alexa Bliss. And she could show up at the Rumble. She could be back in wrestling. I don't know. If she's not wrestling, she's definitely been missed. I'm a big Alexa Bliss fan. But again, she goes on with her life and moves forward in a different direction, then I'm fine with that. But I'll definitely put it up there. She's one of those things. I don't see her going to like an AEW or an Impact or anywhere else. She's WWE if she's coming back. If she doesn't come back, it's wrestling. Drew McIntyre. It's going to be interesting. They're really putting a lot of stock behind Drew McIntyre and this new character. So I don't know if they've already come to some agreement with him, and we just don't know about it, or if they're still working on that. Drew would be lost in AEW. He could be a great name to go to TNA with the rebirth, but I think he'd almost overshadow them now. So I'm sure Drew probably will re-sign with WWE. We'll have to wait and see. Becky and Seth are going to stay in WWE. I don't see a Tyler Black going to AEW. I think he'd get lost. There's nobody really there that Tyler Black against who? I mean, yeah, you probably want to see him against Omega, but Omega's out of action right now. So I'm like, who would Seth Rollins really want to face in AEW?
So you're talking name value as opposed to how many good matches he could have.
Oh,
now
yeah.
From name value perspective, I understand your point.
No, he's going to go into AEW and have great matches if you were going to go there, but I just don't see him and Becky. They're going to go wherever they're going to go together. You can already tell. So, and Becky would get lost in the women. She'd probably have good matches. Granted, not the wrestling am I talking about, but I just don't see Becky Lynch being utilized as well as she is in WWE. She wouldn't be the man, you know.
Absolutely not.
So I don't see them losing. Ricochet, I think he'll probably stay in WWE. I don't see he could go to AEW. He could go back on the independent scenes, Prince Puma. But again, he'd be a guy I feel that would get lost in AEW more than anything. Jinder Mahal, I'm sure he's going to stay. He's going to be more of a manager going forward. The New Day aren't leaving. Randy Orton just came back, so I'm sure. I don't know if they'll add time on for his injury, but I'm sure Randy is a WWE lifer. I don't see him going anywhere. Kevin Owens, he's too hot and he's doing too good, and I don't think AEW would know what to do with Kevin Owens.
Oh, hell no.
Or Kevin Steen. And I would say the same thing for Sami Zayn. I don't see Sami going down there. Kevin Owens and Sami are going to stay together. Sammy's too hot. Kevin Owens is too hot in WWE.
Tony Khan's thing will be, oh, hey, Sami, here's your mask.
Yeah, exactly. Sami and Kevin and Sami are too hot, and Sami is looking like they're going to build him to a world title picture soon enough. It's just in the works. LA Knight, it's a mixed review there. I don't know. He could go back to Eli Drake and TNA. Don't see him going to AEW. He'd just be a name that would get lost. He'd have great promo work with a lot of guys there, but he'd just get lost in the shuffle. So, and that's mostly everybody there. Yeah. You lose all that.
Well, you had you mentioned Pat McAfee. His is more of a. I think his is just a basic announcer talent. Yeah, they've just been letting him come and go as he pleases. So I don't see anything.
Yeah,
they'll re-sign McAfee to some type of contract for commentary and a couple ring matches. McAfee's having too much fun. McAfee and WWE, McAfee's so much bigger than AEW on his own that I think he'd outshine AEW. That it'd just be weird. So I think he's solid.
Plus, they probably like the reaction Michael Cole gives them.
Right.
Yeah, if Matt McAfee went to AEW, Michael Cole might quit because he'd have to go follow his boy. So, Mr. Clarke, your thoughts?
There is nobody on that particular list that I see leaving of their own free will, with the exception of maybe Drew Galloway, and that may not even be true. And yes, I said Drew Galloway as opposed to Drew McIntyre.
Yeah. The only names I would say would be McIntyre and LA Knight.
I don't even see LA Knight leaving unless they just didn't want him anymore for whatever reason.
That's where I'm coming from, just because of the mixed reviews on how they felt about him going back and forth. That it's like, oh, they don't like him, they do like him. There's not been a solidified report. It'd be the only reason. I think it would be more of a WWE not wanting to renew LA Knight than LA Knight not wanting to renew. But those would be the only two names on this whole list that I would say might have the possibility of going elsewhere.
And with Drew Galloway, it's just more. I don't think it's even about money, because he can make money in AEW if he wanted to go there for whatever reason. Yeah. He can make a decent amount of money with TNA and the Indies, or any other company he goes to. I think it would be mostly about creative for him.
Yeah.
And by now they're doing a pretty good I think they're doing a damn good job with him now.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
2 months ago I wasn't so sure, but they've really amped up what his character is, who he's supposed to be, and I'm just loving his work right now.
And they're still built. And it's still being built. It's not completely there yet. Mr. Z, is there anything you want? Go ahead. Sorry.
I just don't see anyone really leaving
No.
on the WWE side. There's no reason to.
No.
Even Ricochet, who I feel they don't use, to his best abilities, is still doing well enough. It's like, why leave a good thing?
Well, and you could put him in TNA and he'd probably be okay. He'd probably be better TNA than anything. But I can't see him going to AEW where you get lost in the shuffle. Mr. Z, do you have anything you want to add to that conversation?
No, I don't see any of these guys really leaving. Like you said, Drew Galloway would be one questionable, but I mean, why leave a good thing? If you're doing fine over there and they're doing decent with you creatively, might as well stick it out.
And transitioning, we thank you for being here. This is the Value Wrestling. This is your weekly roundup. We thank you for being here. If you're if you're watching this live, join us in the chat, join in your conversation. Make sure you hit that like button, ring that bell for notifications, and help share this out. Let's get it out there. And if you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Help us grow and join the Value Wrestling family. We're up to 156, which is awesome. Congratulations. So let's get into it. Mr. Z, what's going on in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling this week? What news do you have coming out of there?
We got really nothing this week. It's been very quiet since World Tag League, but they do have a pay-per-view coming up. Road to Tokyo Dome. This is their final stop at Corrigan Hall. Your main event in that one, I'll give you your co-main event and your main event. Your co-main will be the KOPW title. Provisional title would be Tai Chi and Yoshinobu. And your main event for the Never Six-Man Openweight Championship, you have Tomohiro Ishii, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Kazuchika Okada. They'll be defending their belts against Hinare, Great-O-Khan, and Jeff Cobb. That is probably the only match I'm looking forward to. There's not much going on in New Japan. They're building the Wrestle Kingdom as they should be. I've shared with you guys, and I've shared on our Facebook page the two big matches that are signed right there of Okada and Danielson, and then for the title you have Sonata and dude, his name just left my head. I'm so sorry, guys. Thank you. I deserve that. I totally deserve that one.
All right.
That's it. I'm sorry, guys. That totally left my head. But other than that, nothing. Hey.
Now, as we're on New Japan and we're talking about Wrestle Kingdom, how do you feel about the new title being called the Global Heavyweight? That's going to be representing the former U.S., UK.
Good point. Did Tony Khan put his name in the hat for that name? Just wondering.
Well, remember, TNA used to have a global champion.
That's right.
So it's not exactly new in professional wrestling, but it is a little weird.
I want to see what it looks like, honestly. Let's just leave it at that, because their belts always look really good.
That's true. They have a decent track record.
Speaking of New Japan Pro Wrestling,
real quick before we go into that one, my son caught wind that they're selling the New Japan Heavyweight belt, the last one, not the new one.
Oh, okay. The classic.
The classic, $2,300, folks.
All right. Well, speaking of New Japan Pro Wrestling, Mr. Z is officially going to be making a move. He's on Spotify right now, so check that out. But we're going to start after the new year. He is going to join the Full Value Wrestling family, as he's going to bring his New Japan Rebound podcast onto the YouTube channel each and every Tuesday. Will be the goal. So he will put that out. Hopefully we'll have that, but that'll be after the first of the year. Let's get through the holidays and everything, and then sometime in January you will start seeing his weekly show on Tuesdays, which is the New Japan Pro Wrestling Weekly Rebound, which is, we do the roundup, he does the rebound, and sometimes I get tongue-tied there, but that is our goal. So we welcome him full-time over here to the
Thank you.
YouTube side of things.
You guys get to see me get fired on air, off air, however they want to see it. The fans.
Well,
love it.
if you're by yourself, you can't get fired unless you fire yourself. So
I can't see in the comment section someone tell me I'm fired.
yeah, maybe.
Is that what you're trying to say?
We'll see how that works
I
out.
see that idea, knowing now that it can happen.
Yeah. Now you instigated.
know
Do you
what's
know you
going
really
to.
you love to put foot in mouth, right? You have foot and mouth syndrome, right? Mm-hmm. Notoriously. All right. Well, let's get the Clarke report because he knows he loves to talk about the Clarke report. Ladies and gentlemen, let me bring you the great yeeter of yeeters, the yeeter of worlds, Mr. Clarke. What do you have to add to today's show?
Definitely don't have a yeet for that.
Thank you.
Right. There's just not been much really worth talking about besides the stuff we've talked about already.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's read this. See if it's worth anything. AJ Francis, formerly known as Top Dollar, says botched WWE SmackDown dive saved his life. AJ Francis famously botched a dive in a match on WWE SmackDown, but he's grateful because it saved his life. Francis, who has worked as Top Dollar in WWE, dove over the top rope during a match on the December 16th, 2022 episode of SmackDown, but caught his feet on the ropes. Francis commemorated the one-year anniversary of the moment by talking about how that dive led to him going to the doctor, where he learned that he had type 2 diabetes. Francis wrote, "The botch saved my life. I made that dive a dozen times before. Legs fell off, but I didn't think about it. After I failed and went to the doc and found out I had type 2 diabetes, and my blood sugar was 626. Golly, that is high. As someone who has taken care of my mother who has diabetes, as I know people who have diabetes and have to check their blood sugar every day, that is kind of scary. That's like death worthy. Anyways, he has said, I almost lost my life and was about to lose both feet. The botch saved my life. So, hey, I guess things happen for a reason no matter what happens in your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, you have a botch on national TV, but hey,
Well,
it
and
can lead to further knowledge.
if it wasn't for Omega going into the emergency room from the pain that he was suffering from even the prior weeks, we wouldn't know about the diverticulitis. And forgive me, I'll never be able to say that perfectly right.
Well, you got to think it almost killed Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. No, Brock
During the
Lesnar is an amazing thing. He shouldn't have came back into MMA or pro wrestling, but was able to. So we don't know where Kenny Omega is going to stand on this. We don't know if he will ever be able to get back into the ring. This is a serious thing, and our well wishes and our thoughts are with Omega, and we hope that he recovers. We do hope that he can get back in the ring, but if he can't, we completely understand and know that, your health is way beyond the matter of performing in that ring, and we just want him to be okay and recover, and hopefully he can work in the background of AEW, helping make it better when he gets cleared and able to up and move around. If he can't get in the ring, that's fine. Nobody can be mad at him. You don't have control over this. But yeah, he got rushed to the hospital after the last show because he wasn't feeling good. He even fought through it. He thought he had another hernia getting through Eastern Page. And like I said on my last rant, I kind of apologized to Omega for being harsh on his not wanting to be there, or at least that's how he appeared. But now that we know why he was in that state of mind, I definitely understand, and I don't think it was on him. I mean, if you don't feel good, it's hard to get out there and get anything over. So.
Yeah.
Of course, I still blame Tony Khan. If he was feeling that bad, why'd you put him out there? And secondly, why'd you book a match like that? And now we're not getting any follow-up, so we're going to have to wait for Dynamite to see how that goes. But, gentlemen, is there anything else we should talk about today? Is there anything else we want to add? Is there anything?
Just for the fun of it, I was going to read this other quick story.
Go ahead.
Bully Ray says that Baron Corbin is underappreciated. Bully Ray believes that people give Baron Corbin too much grief for his work in WWE. Corbin has been in NXT as of late and battled Ilya Dragunov at NXT Deadline earlier this month. Bully talked about Corbin's work in the company on Busted Open Radio, noting that he should get more credit for what he does. End quote. Corbin is underappreciated, Billy argued. I see entirely too many people out there takes shots at Corbin for no good reason. Corbin is excellent at what he does. And let's just take a look at the situation. Corbin is a former NFL football player who came into the WWE, came up through NXT, brought onto the main roster, and had tastes of main event level success on the main roster. A guy who hit his finisher on Becky Lynch, a guy who has wrestled main event level guys, last guy to beat Roman Reigns, and they put him down in NXT. He continued, and never have I seen Baron Corbin dog it or phone it in or be like, well, what the hell am I doing here? No matter the variation we get of Corbin, he gives 100%. And that I agree with Bully Ray on about. No matter what they give him creatively, whether we like it or not, he at least gives it his all to the best of his ability, in my opinion.
Yeah, he never had boo-boo job face at all when it comes to anything.
No. Corbin's great when he's on point, when the creative's there. It's just the happy Corbin, I think, hurt him a lot because people just couldn't get behind it. But when he's that, I think we want that lone wolf Corbin that we can feel we can get behind. Mr. Z, go ahead.
Here, if anyone knows. No.
Okay,
not
good.
yet. There's no smoke coming out of my ears. Actually, maybe if I unplug it, I don't know.
Thank you.
No one is kicked out. No one is kicked out of his finisher. He still has a protected finisher.
That's good.
I mean, that's saying something if they're still protecting his finisher.
So we have a big match coming up on SmackDown, I forgot. AJ Styles versus Randy Orton versus LA Knight, all to see who will fight Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble.
When was this announced?
It's been announced. I forgot exactly where it's announced, but yeah, it seems like AJ Styles, Randy Orton, LA Knight. I don't know if it's official for the next SmackDown, but it is something in the works to come to see who will be the number one contender for Roman Reigns.
Okay.
So big.
Any takes who it might be? Real quick. Who do you think it'll be?
Randy.
Okay.
The only one that makes sense.
That's the story right now. So
AJ's going to go on to feud. I think it's for New Year's Revolution, the SmackDown New Year's Revolution. And of course, so SmackDown's going to be New Year's Revolution show. And then Raw is going to be day one. So going into the new year, both those shows are going to have special titled shows instead of having a pay-per-view event. And of course, NXT New Year's Evil is taking place. So WWE trying to really push their shows. I guess they're copying this AEW Winter is Coming, AEW whatever else they fight the Fight for the Fallen or fight whatever they have.
The Fallen. Well, Fight for the Fallen is their own is their charity show. So I mean, I'm not gonna knock that one.
No, I'm not knocking. I just they have show names like for Winter is Coming and Fight for the Fallen, and then they Fighter Fest and all these different names that come out. So I guess WWE is trying to see if they can, revitalize some of these names and make shows feel important. It'll just be depending on how they. Okay, so we'll have to see how that all goes going forward. We're heading into Royal Rumble season, so that's going to get interesting. We know two names that are already in the Rumble. Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, definitely already in there. So it's definitely going to be interesting. Are we going to have any big surprises? Can't wait to see who may show up as a surprise entrance into the Royal Rumble. And this has been your Value Wrestling's weekly roundup. We appreciate you being here. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Do all three of those wonderful things if you haven't already. We will be back tomorrow. Me and Mr. Clarke will be back tomorrow night to cover everything that goes down on your Monday Night Raw. It should be a hot Raw. This should be the last live Raw. I think they're going to tape next week's Raw for Christmas. And then we'll go into the New Year's. New Year's. So we're getting to the end of the season. The calendar's about to turn over. It's about to be 2024. The world may go to hell in a handbasket, depending. It's going to be a crazy year. Hopefully, the world of wrestling looks like it might have a little bit of craziness, but hopefully it won't be as crazy as some of the other things going on in the world.
Yeah.
But with that being said, we thank you for being here. We thank you for joining us. We thank you for watching. If you're watching this later, we appreciate it. Drop your comments below. Please join in the conversation. We'll be back tomorrow night with your Monday Night Review, and then we'll be back Dynamite, SmackDown. We don't cover Collision here anymore. Again, after the new year, we will have the New Japan Pro Wrestling Rebound with a Mr. Z coming live onto the YouTube channel. You can expect that every Tuesday, along with other content that's always out there. Big Time Rants. I'm working on a flashback review for some of the shows. So we're always going to have new stuff and interesting stuff coming up. So that's why you want to subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. But like I always say, until next time, we are going to get out of here and say bye. We are out.
I was built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's coming in.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name. Check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change. Possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quench the thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic,